Hey, this is Kurt with Craft Closet. We're going to be doing a head-to-head comparison of plywood versus MDF materials so you can make the decision which materials you may want to be using for a particular project. Let's go ahead and get started. First, we have to get the definition out of the way. I have certainly heard MDF core wood referred to as plywood, but technically that isn't right. At least I'm going to define it as a sheet of wood created by gluing multiple layers, typically with the grain direction alternating 90 degrees for each layer for strength and rigidity. The most common example of plywood within laser circles is Baltic birch, so we're going to use that as an example. You can see 1/4 inch Baltic birch has 5 layers. 1/8 inch has 3 layers. Then the grain direction of the center layers is perpendicular to the rest. This allows for rigidity of the board and helps to prevent warping. It doesn't really matter what the quality of the inner layers is, you don't really see that. The exposed layer is the one that's real important for grading. We'll go through the grading of Baltic birch in a separate video, but you can see that the grain pattern here is really great. A really nice board and perfect for either staining and finishing or even painting. It's relatively inexpensive, although recent shortages have certainly increased the price. Let's talk about kind of a downside to Baltic birch though, and that's inconsistency of cutting. Imagine that each thin layer is glued to the next by a very thin layer of glue, right? The laser has no problem going through that. However, if there's a defect or a void in one of the layers, then that's filled with glue. No big deal if you're using a table saw, but a laser will have a harder time getting through those areas. So you can cut through a board fine, but then find a few spots that don't go through properly. There are certainly other options like Italian poplar, which is a soft wood and cuts really well. Let's move on to MDF. This stands for medium density fiberboard. MDF is an engineered wood made by breaking down wood fibers, then mixing it with a binder and pressing it into panels. MDF is kind of boring. It's plain brown with no pattern to it. You wouldn't stain or varnish this, but it's great draft board, or if you use it for a project that you're simply painting. The beauty of MDF is its versatility with veneers. MDF is basically a blank canvas that wood manufacturers then apply wood veneers or melamine. So we need to talk about single versus double-sided MDF. Now, single-sided doesn't mean that there's a veneer on only one side. You have to have veneer on both sides because it stabilizes the wood and prevents warping. But when you buy a single-sided wood, then it has the desired species, like aromatic cedar on one side, and then there's a generic species on the other. If you buy double-sided MDF, there is the desired species on both sides. So if you're making a project that only one side is showing, then save some money and buy some single-sided MDF. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell to receive notifications. See you in the next video.